Good evening, good evening, good evening, YouTube. How are you guys? How are you guys? My goodness. I do not have anything formal planned to talk about today. I did. I have a general sort of idea of, kind of. Just give me a second here. Oh, child. My hair is looking wild today. It is what it is, though. I don't care. Um, yeah, I have a general sort of focus of what I want to talk about. Um, Nothing specific. Usually I have notes of things that I don't want to skip talking about. Because I don't want to get on a tangent and forget. However, however, so the general theme that I want to talk about today is fear. I want to talk about fear. So, yesterday, after I came off of the live, I feel naked without notes. Anyway, yesterday, after I came off of the live that I did in the evening, I felt this energy, this fearful energy around me. There's always, now listen, if it's hard to communicate what I mean by this, if you're not a person who has some sort of clear, and by clear I mean see, I can never quite tell if what I'm saying as far as these things resonates with anyone, because mentally I spend a lot of time in and around spiritual people, even if it's online, who have gifts and who believe in, even though they may not believe in the same things I believe, they definitely have metaphysical beliefs. And so you just fluidly communicate things that you feel or that you see, and you accept it as fact because of the life that you've lived. So I do tend to maybe sometimes spew out that I felt something or whatever. And I don't know, for anybody watching being gang stalked who hasn't experienced having some sort of, I don't know, some sort of just out of body feeling, just bear with me as I kind of walk down this path. But for myself, last night, yesterday, there was a lot of fear that I felt. And I'm not sure whose feelings sometimes I'm feeling. Sometimes I know whose feelings they are, and sometimes I don't. And there's a difference between when someone purposely projects energy at you, meaning that they want you to feel this energy, and when you're just picking up on someone's mood or general demeanor. Now, sometimes, I don't know, I figure this happens maybe if somebody's thinking about you, and you might just pick up on the way that they feel as they think about you. But other times I think it could just be sort of like a general mood. But when I pick up on these feelings, I am never picking up on happy, calm, relaxed people ever. And I don't know what that is about. I know that we are in difficult times for myself and the people that I unfortunately find myself involved with or around. I know that nobody's having a good time here. I think everybody is putting on this face as if things are good or blah, blah, blah. People are having huge issues. People are having huge issues. People are having financial difficulties. And I mean, that's the financial difficulties part, that's in general right now anyway. That's already in the air. But I'm talking about if I'm talking about people in my city, are already having a difficult time financially. And to add on to that, on top of it, the people gang stalking me are definitely having a tough go at it. There are a number of things occurring. So, first of all, people have, excuse me, invested financially, and that's not producing any results. On top of it, I don't know if they are in debt for work that hasn't been done. So there is that. And then there's also the fact that people were promised to be paid and haven't been paid or not paid. There was all of this excitement in the beginning about gang stalking me and people getting paid, and then people didn't get paid. And they're not going to get paid, not on my case. Now, they should have probably gang stalked other people and tried to make up for that loss, but I think they really want me. I think this organization is dead set that they want to catch the sun, and they don't care. So I am constantly just picking up on horrible emotions, and it's I don't know what to say, because everybody makes their own decisions in life. So I don't know what to say about that. Last night it was a lot of fear. It wasn't panic, it was fear. And it really felt like, if I were to like take a guess, it felt like fear of violence. It's really important to it's very important to, if you are a very empathetic person, to like distinguish between emotions that are yours and that are not yours. So emotions that are not yours are not connected to anything logical. So if, say, you're having a great time and then all of a sudden you're having an anxiety attack, that is a projection. If you're sitting at a restaurant and all of a sudden you're having an anxiety attack, that is a projection. That is a feeling that is not yours. So this fear, I know, is not mine. Like, there are emotions that are just not my natural emotions to feel. It's I'm not saying that it's not in me to feel, but the fear thing, even if I'm fearful of something at a moment, it's like not something that is natural for me to keep. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And even in the evening, I wanted to like look up Psalms or Bible scriptures to do with fear. And I found one, and it wasn't just like, it wasn't juicy enough for me. It wasn't meaty enough for me to be like, okay, I'm going to read it. But I want to say this in regards to fear. Now, first of all, I'm going to speak to a lot of what I say always has to do with people who are being gang stalked to be drug mules, because that is the perspective that I understand gang stalking from. So that's the first perspective that I can give. I can also probably give perspectives as far as like, maybe not a perspective, but maybe I can try to imagine how it would be people being gang stalked. But I think a lot of people don't even know why they're being gang stalked. And because they don't know why they're being gang stalked, it's like, it's so tough to tell like who the chief gang stalker is and all of that stuff. So I can only give from the perspective of what I know. And what I know is gang stalking to force someone to be a drug mule. Now, when I was kind of like Googling and looking things up, I remember there was an article that came up in Vice magazine just from like a Google search in my city. And there were people that were working at the magazine, and the account executives were basically recruiting the new people that came in, the interns, to be drug mules. And so obviously they would gang stalk them. And I remember these four people got caught in Australia with and by the way, from what I heard, Australia is one of the strictest sort of borders. But they got caught in Australia with drugs. They got brought back over here. They were tried, and he was saying that he was trying to tell the judge that he was forced to do it. Like, they pretty much forced him, they threatened his family and all of that stuff. So he felt that he had to do it. And pretty much like the judicial system, their take over here is, if you feel that you are being gang stalk to be, I see a lot of people being removed from my live, and I feel like I'm definitely just gonna put this on Instagram when I'm done. I really don't like when these kind of stupid games are played, honestly. Anyway, this kid was saying that he felt forced to do it. And the judge's position and our judicial system's position over here is that, well, what you're supposed to do is, if you feel that you're being forced, then when you get to the airport, you're supposed to like get to like an officer or someone and tell them like you have drugs in your bag, you don't want to get on the plane. Now think about it realistically. Everybody knows when you're being gang stalked how they surround you. Everybody knows how, they talk, they know, they hack into your devices, they hack into your emails, they follow you around, they start putting up profiles about you, etc., etc. So what the hell would going, if you're already scared for your family and your family's safety, what would going to the airport and telling airport security that you don't want to do something do when you are scared of violence and retribution? So I'll start by saying this. The first, in my opinion, one of the first lines of defense that these people use is definitely spell work, and we all know that. So much so, the police know that. The police know that. They use it on the police. They do things in the police station. It's like, I was in the police station. I saw people astral projecting in the police station. Like, so that's number one. The police know. Everything that you know about gang stalking, the police know about gang stalking. There's nothing new here. Secondly, when you look at the fear of retribution and the violence and whatever, I mean, I'm not saying that people, there's no violence, because someone corrected me on that the other day and they were like, oh, here's a story of someone and there was violence and this person did pass away and whatever. I personally just don't know. For me, when it comes to the drug mule situation, I know that you being not alive doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone make money. It doesn't help anyone recoup on their money. It doesn't mean that they don't want to get back at you and they don't want revenge, but it just means that they're not going to use physical means from what I've seen to do it. People that don't want you alive, they just do it. They don't they don't how do you put it, spend all this time and money following you all over and hacking you and whatever. Like, these are intimidation tactics, these are fear tactics that people, they do so that you can be in your head. And here's the thing, they're effective, don't get me wrong, it's very effective. Like, if you were to watch a movie and you look at how everything is set up, so you're watching a movie and you'll see, first of all, they'll use this music that's melodramatic. Then, you'll see somebody pull up in a vehicle, roll the window, pull up very slowly in a vehicle, roll the window down, and look at you and drive off. And then this happens 10 times a day. And then now you have people showing up to your job and people showing up to, the bank when you're there, and people showing up all over the place. Yes, you're going to initially be worried about that. But what I want to talk about is, what do you do after a while? So, not to, everybody's timelines are different, everybody's different. Everybody has different fear. But for me, just for me personally, I think after 3 to 6 months, you've acclimatized to it, you've accepted it. After a year, it's your new normal. I mean, here's the thing, when the situation doesn't change, you have to change. And that's what it boils down to. Now, if you know the alternative, or the only way that they make it for you to get out of a situation is for you to be a drug mule, is for you to transport drugs, if that is the only way out and you're not in agreement with it, and you shouldn't be, and I have talked about this over and over and over again, why you should not take this agreement. This agreement is not just about making money and traveling selling drugs indefinitely. People think that they could stop at some point, and when the first time they try, they realize that they're stuck. This is not about indefinitely doing this. This is about your soul. This is about the people you were supposed to meet, the places you were supposed to go, the children you were supposed to have, the things you were supposed to do, the lives you were supposed to touch, the people who were supposed to touch you. This is about cycles opening and closing. This is why this situation, there's an issue with what you would call death angels and cycles of life and death, because cycles are supposed to open and close. And gang stalkers, especially gang stalkers for organizations like the cartel, do not want cycles to close. Cycles open and they force the cycle open. Now, you have free will. And when you go to the police, they'll be like, no, 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 they can't tell you what to do. A judge will be like, no, 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 you should have just not carried the drugs. These people know 100% for a fact that there was nothing that you could do in that situation. They know how intimidating and how trying that situation is. I think, and I'm not speaking for everybody, because there are a lot of crooked officials as well, a lot of crooked police officers and judges and lawyers and whatever. There's a lot of that. But these people, I think if I were in one of their positions, I would feel dejected. I would feel like, what sort of impact am I gonna have other than being gang stalked myself, trying to be the only person that's trying to fight against something? It's like, they're probably just trying to like just get by themselves. I don't know what to say and how to put it. And especially when you add in spell work, and you add in spell work where people do not believe in God, people don't believe in a higher power, people don't believe in anything. So what is there really that anyone can do? And that's why when I come up here, I really talk about, more than anything, I talk about the spiritual side of it. I remember that I was watching some sort of video, and one of the girls was saying, more so than talking about the spiritual aspect of gang stalking, you have to talk about the reality. But the thing is, gang stalking is a spiritual thing. Gang stalking is spiritual warfare. It's a spiritual battle. There's no way to overlook the fact that you have people who are energetically manipulating things in order for things to stay in a rot position. And it's like, when they're doing this kind of spell work, it's like they do one thing to cover up the other thing and another thing to take care of the other thing. It's like you do this and then you get all this karma, and then now you got to pass the karma around, and then you got to get fresh blood so that and then you got to do this, and then you got to do that. And it's like, I'm sure it's daunting and I'm sure it's exhausting to even, like, myself, that's one of the reasons that I'm not even convinced about this spell work thing, where it's like, I'm not really sure. I hear it, I look it up, I listen to it, but it's like, it sounds complex. It really does. And it really sounds like forcing your will without enough information. Forcing your will not just on people, but on the universe in general, without not even remotely enough information to make a proper decision. So if we're kind of going back, talking about fear, one of the things that the article was saying is that the judge was telling this guy that he has free will, like he can do what he wants to do. I look like Louis Farrakhan right now. That he can do whatever he wants to do. And even though technically that's the truth, they know that how hard people intimidate people. And I think for men, they definitely intimidate them with violence to some degree, or threat of violence to some degree. And I can't say that I completely understand that 100%, because I don't have the perspective of being inside of this thing. I only have the perspective of being forced to take an oath to be inside of it. And one thing that my spirit guides were always like insistent upon is just never take this oath. This is horrible. It would be horrible for you, and you would forfeit so much, and it wouldn't have been worth it. And coming to find out everything that I've found out about this situation, I think that everything I find out about it every day is worse and worse. It's like worse and worse. When you think about the fact that they take people's, well, I knew about the bindings early on, and I knew about, like, you know, the destiny swapping and stuff like that early on, but you know, then you look at the way it's like they hold people like contracts, and then they bind themselves to you, and then it's like they steal whatever it was, whatever abundance, whatever blessings, whatever love, whatever it was in your life, they take it, and then they have you stuck. And there's some cities that are notorious for being very problematic when it comes to these kind of things. And it's like whenever they see people that have a spiritual gift, whenever they see people who have some sort of relationship with God, some sort of, you know, they look into your future before you even know what's going on. They've already looked into what it is that's supposed to be coming for you. And so you might just be walking around here dejected, looking at your reality for what it is, not knowing what is to come. In my situation, obviously, like, I'm a very spiritual person, and a lot of my assistance has come from my spirituality. And they're attacking the tarot community right now, and they're doing a whole lot in that community. But it's like, when God is with you and God is for you, and God has said, like, this is what's going to happen for you, no one can take that away. And that was something that I wasn't convinced of throughout the entire gang stalking journey. I just was not convinced that, you know, it couldn't be taken away. And to be honest with you, I can't even take it away. I can't even give up what is for me. I can't even walk away from it. I can't even say I don't want this life. I can't even do that. So if I can't do that, it's like I know that nobody is going to be no one is going to be taking anything that belongs to me. No one is going to be taking anything that is for me. And I really just want to, like, share that with people. You're the only one that can, and even then, with me saying you're the only one that can forfeit what's for you, it's like God will hold you to it. God will really hold you to it. One of the reasons why I'm skeptical about spell work in general is that I'm grateful when prayers are not answered. Like, there's some prayers in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, I'm kind of grateful God did not answer that. I'm kind of grateful I didn't get an affirmative answer. You know, you can have God's ear, and God decides what they're going to push through, what they're not, and when. And the when is a huge one, because divine timing was another thing that I didn't quite understand. I didn't used to understand, like, it's like I want it and I want it now. And I've come to the point, for the most part, because I still have days where I'm just like, I really want things now. I would like them now. But it's like now I can finally understand why God delays a lot of things, from blessings to things that you want to stop in your life, to just plans that you wanted to make. I'll give an example. So the other day I logged into, like, one of my accounts, and I got $100 credit for something, and I was, just as I was about to go redeem it, they closed off the box. Whoever's hacked on my device closed it off, and I lost it. Now, back in the day, and I'm saying back in the day, and literally I can mean like a couple months ago, that would have really triggered me and pissed me off. I would have been really upset by that, and I would have been like, oh my God, how comes, blah, 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 blah. Very valid, of course. But now I'm just like, do I really want to be blessed right now with this kind of crap going on? Do I really want the things that are supposed to be for me to happen right now? And the answer is absolutely not. Logically speaking, like, you don't want to receive things when you're in a chaotic space. It's like having, you know, like I say, it's like being at war and having bombs dropping all over you, and now being the time that you want to actually, like, start something new. It's very difficult in that time for things to, like, unfold in the way that they probably should. You know, you need calm. You need calm to do this stuff, right? And I feel like God even, people having to work during these conditions and move forward with their life and doing the things that they have to do, I feel like that's a tall order. That is a tall order to have people pushing through this kind of sabotage, this kind of chaos. I want to first of all like sympathize with people who are trying to work in these conditions, trying to conduct business in these conditions. You're fighting uphill. It's ridiculous. I can tell you for myself personally, I do exactly what I'm supposed to do without the emotions. I do exactly what I'm supposed to do without the emotional tug of war. It's like hinging your emotions on things working or not working. It's like just go with the flow. Go with the current. As you do something and it works, great. It doesn't work, it's not meant to work. Simple as that. And move forward and to the next thing. If you were not being gang stalked right now and you tried to do something, you would just move on from it. You wouldn't have, a little emotional meltdown for every little thing that you want to work that doesn't work. So that's number one. Let it go. Let a whole bunch of stuff go and focus on the things that are working and focus on the things that are supposed to work. So I'll tell you, when I was going through things in the middle of this, and I mean when it was heavy, in the dead middle of it, whenever it was time for something to work and I had to step out in faith, it just worked. So whether that was selling a home, renewing a mortgage, whatever the hell it was, it just worked. Which means that when it's supposed to work, it works. And when it's not supposed to work, it doesn't work. And then that's it. Like, you cannot emotionally involve yourself in what's happening, or else you are going to be drained. It's going to feel like a roller coaster. It's already bad as it is. For it to already be bad, and then for you to be like back and forth with yourself and like, let it be. Let it be. The other thing is, so that's as far as like business or work life or, making money or whatever, which is a huge thing. They want you to not make money. That's as far as that. When you look at betrayals, they go out of their way to instigate betrayals and to cause chaos in relationships. They go out of their way. And then if it doesn't look like it bothers you, then it's like they send someone in to ask you about it to see, does it bother you? Like, do you talk to your neighbors? Does anybody fucking talk to their neighbors? The fuck are you talking? Like, it's like they go out of their way because they want it to bother you. But it's like, I can only speak for myself. If a betrayal from my father like barely bothered me, and it's like it pissed me off because it's like, wow, but shocked me, no, not really. If that being the closest relationship outside of my children, then it's like, I know for me, it's like I see everybody as like blowing through the wind, here today, gone tomorrow. It's not. So it's like, if they're, in my case, they always try to like find something. They'll even try to forge a new relationship with a random stray just to make it fall apart. So it's gonna be like, oh my God, it's so gut-wrenching. Now, don't get me wrong, we're human beings and this stuff is gonna hurt when you realize like people that you're supposed to be working with have been working against you, people that you're supposed to be have alliances to, people that you've helped, people that you've whatever, are the people that have been doing this to you all along. Yes, of course, it is gonna hurt. There have been situations I've been shocked more than anything. I think the shocking situations are the craziest ones for me. But once you understand the kind of beast that you're dealing with, it's like two things that I want people to consider. First of all, you're dealing with a situation where it took so much for you to realize what was happening around you. They had to make it obvious to you for you to understand what was going on around you. So that's number one. So people that are being manipulated, they cannot see. When you're trying to tell people that they're being manipulated, still, they will not want to see. I personally am not sure that I can really relate to that. Excuse me, because whenever there's been sabotage in any sort of relationship, I'm usually the one that could see the sabotage. Somebody will come and they'll tell me a rumor about somebody that I know or care about, and I'll be like, that doesn't make sense because that doesn't sound like them. And then I'll proceed to want to talk to them, to want to tell them what is being said about them, to give them an opportunity to explain. How you let somebody who's random tell you something about someone you know personally and then convince you to shut up about it and not confront the person and make a decision based on that, I don't know. You gotta call it spell work. It's like they turn normally smart people stupid. But I don't know what it is. Do they cast the spell work for, like, I can't tell. I don't know. I can't relate is all I can come to. I can't relate. I can't, not to say that I cannot be blindsided. No, it's just that logically there is a logical way how a rational person is supposed to go about doing things. Now, when you find yourself in a situation where you've been betrayed, you got to look at it like this. That person was a liability anyway. You don't want anybody slow around you. And I say this in, I can only be myself and be honest. If you're in a zombie apocalypse, you need people who are smart, one, common sense, two, fast, people who can hunt, people who can make split-second decisions. You need a partner next to you who is gonna be an asset. So the person in your life who takes that kind of deal against you, you kind of just have to be grateful for it and move on from it, and just like quickly. And I talk about not spending time being like hurt about that situation. Now it catch 22 because I'm all the way here, and now I have to like emotionally reckon with the fact that, sit down and it pops in your head like, did such and such really do that? Did such and such really think that? Did such and such? Yeah, like it's gonna come back, obviously. And I thank God, because there are people who are really, really, really tight in loving situations with family members in my city that I know that got betrayed by people they were really, really close to. So I can sympathize. I can sympathize that it wasn't fun, that's something that adds heartbreak to everything else that's going on. However, I can tell you this much, and again, I'm talking about being gang stalked to be a drug mule. I can tell you this much. Very thankful to the people who, and there were a number of them, who communicated non-verbally that yes, there is something going on, and gave their either encouragement, or they just gave props. They gave me my props in some way, or they gave some sort of encouragement or some sort of validation or some sort of something non-verbally, because they weren't allowed to say anything, but they did it non-verbally. And that is something that I'm indebted for. Now, who knows how these people are doing now, but if I have anything to say about it, I hope God throws them a little bone. And I think that these are the people that I think about, that encourages me to come on here to do these videos every single day, to keep talking about like what this is. And even if I cannot myself say, okay, here is a blueprint, but I think we're getting there. I don't care what anybody says. I think we are getting there. One day there will be a blueprint of how to walk out of gang stalking. Even though I cannot give a complete map, a complete blueprint right now, it's like I feel still that these people are deserving of just hearing how to ease the pain and ease the suffering. What I went through, now, first of all, I had to learn everything on the ground running. I did not go in with the knowledge, knowing how to ease my pain, knowing how to ease my suffering. I did not. So I did have to learn everything on the ground running. So I did feel a lot of things as well. And then I had to heal them and clean them up. And, but I think about what people must be going through, and they have nothing Nothing to ease the pain, nothing to take away whatever people are doing to them. Because you might sit back and you might think to yourself, why are you just running from a car that's just sitting there? But that car sitting there is representing people that are sending spiritual attacks, people that are sending death into your life, where people start dropping around you and now you're terrified. And I see how they come at people. They come at people to force them to do something, and all of a sudden it's like your father passes away, your sister passes away, someone passes away, and that's like the warning sign. And until you get it that you could be next. And so I get it. I get it. I very much get it. I see what they do. I see why people isolate from their family and their friends. I see why people leave people. I get it. 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 It's a very tough, scary situation to be in. And this is why the situation for them has to go the way that it's going. I want to advise people, stop praying for everybody in general, because you don't know who's who. And those prayers are not prayers for these kinds of people. Like on a normal day when a prayer is rejected, these prayers are not just rejected. Like you're gonna get swiped down by this energy just for making the prayer. And that's the truth. There's only so many times that people are gonna be crying over gang stalking before God steps in. There's only so much that, like, and let me tell you about these situations. So I used to be one where I used to say in the beginning, I said, how is this possible? How can God be a living God, which I know God to be a living God? How can God be a living God and gang stalking exists? How is that possible? How is that okay? And I realized that on this physical plane, in order to correct situations that have gone wrong, in order to correct them, you need certain types of people to handle the problem. And if that person is not available, or such a person is not available, it's the problem cannot be corrected. What do I mean by that? Who here would volunteer to be the one to step in front of these people and stand up to them? Who here would volunteer to do that? Nobody wants to volunteer to do that. That's number one. Nobody wants to volunteer for that. Number two, is it going to be easy to do that? Absolutely not. It's not easy to do it with protection on you. You have to have even just a particular personality type to do this sort of thing. I really think about myself sometimes, like, why I've been able to stand up to this or all of that. It's not that I was aware very early on that it was cartel. I don't know how, but I knew that it was something sinister. And then I also knew that there was spell work. Throughout my entire relationship, I was seeing spell work everywhere. It was everywhere. So I knew these three things. It wasn't like I walked into it completely blind. Seeing the gang stalk, I knew that I was being followed towards the end of the relationship. Seeing everything play out, it's like, I feel like I just had the personality to just not, I just really didn't care. I was just at the point where I was like, as far as making a decision on it, I was like, if they're going to, unalive me, they're gonna have to do it early, because I'm okay with them doing it, because it's not the life for me and my kids. I just knew I didn't go through everything that I went through with my kids. I haven't suffered. I haven't put all these plans in place to see my kids be drug mules. So I just knew that I didn't really care whatever way that it went. It was either going to be no, or they could get rid of me. I knew that for sure. And I'm not just saying that, and I mean that. I really mean that. I told the police that, and they kind of shrugged me off. They're like, yeah. They shrugged me off. I think in my city, it's easier to believe that I'm a witch, because they've never seen, including the police, they've never seen anybody stand up to these people, and they've never seen anybody survive these people. And these people are telling people that I did spell work on them. And I know God wants me, doesn't like my reputation being tarnished like this, but my whole thing is like, if I knew how to do spell work, why would I tell you that I don't? I don't like you. I don't want you to like me. I don't care about your opinion. I don't like anybody you like. A friend of yours is an enemy of mine, and vice versa. I gain nothing by saying that I don't do the spell work. I would be up here saying I did it, and so what? Do something about it if you can. That's my personality. I don't have to lie to nobody. I don't care. Do you see this hair right now? Do you see this hair? When you see people with their hair like this, that's the first indication that they don't care. No opinions matter to me but my own and my ancestors and the Most High. That's it. I gotta look at myself in the mirror. I gotta like what I see. So them telling people I'm a witch and I don't care. If I did it, you deserved it, and I'll do it again. Like, that's how I feel about it if I were to do it. But I really didn't, and nobody wants to believe that, because if people have to believe that it really is God that walks you out of this situation, then that means that the solution is accessible to everybody, because God is accessible to everybody. And if the solution is accessible to everybody, then that means that maybe there's nothing that special about me. And that means that these people do not have to sit in position. That's the real fear and concern here. That's why my channels get blocked. That's why they do all of this stuff to me, is because people like me are not supposed to exist. But what is people like me exactly? Somebody who has full faith and trust in God for everything. And I'm not talking about for the difficult moments. I mean, like, for everything. Like, I'm a little, very heavily reliant. I'm not even going to say a little too. I'm heavily reliant on God. If I want something, I ask for it. And it doesn't matter. I'll be like, I want this, but I want it on sale. Can you show me where it is? And I just let the day take me where it is. And when I get there and I get it, I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I say thank you when I get the parking spot right at the front. Because I always do. I always park everywhere I go right at the front. I always get a spot. And it's like, you just come to a point where you walk by faith everywhere you go. Everything you do is just God, 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 God this, God that. And I say thank you all the time, because it's like, I see it now. When I was younger, I didn't always see it. I mean, I just thought it was good luck. I'm always very casual about things and about problems, because I'm like, it's gonna work itself out, because it always did. But now I'm seeing who's working it out. I'm seeing how it's being worked out. And I know, see, the thing is with these people, they have group chats on Telegram. Telegram holds up to 50,000 people in one chat, or 200,000 people in one chat. So cross countries, they have these telegram group chats. And in the group chats is where they mock you. It's where they put your pictures. It's where they laugh. It's where they give updates. So the whole group, as a group, they know what's going on with everyone. So you walk on the street and people look at you and they give you that mocking laugh. It's because people already mocked you in the Telegram group. So it's the same Telegram group that they've been saying that I'm a witch. So they convinced people that I'm a witch. Oh, look, this happened to me because the witch cursed me, and this happened and that happened. But at the same time, people knew me for years and years and years before. So they would make fun of the things I'm doing. So say, for example, if I'm going to give the example of me salting my house, they would make fun of it like, oh, she's salting her house. What's that going to do? And then it's like they announce things before, because they want to look like, in my particular situation, this person wanted to look like they had skills and powers that they didn't. So he would be like, okay, watch what's going to happen to her. And then the next day they would show up and nothing happened. And people would be like, even though they weren't actively saying it out of their mouth because they're under a veil of fear, but people were like, you said this was going to happen. She did the assault. And now nothing happened. So then I see my neighbors in my same neighborhood salting up outside of their door in the parameter of their house. Oh, so you're a gang stalker, you're a gang stalker, you're a gang stalker, you're a gang stalker. Because my neighbors started salting their house. We would be driving by and my kids like, is that salt? And I remember one of my kids' so-called friends came to the house and they're like, is that salt to stop demons from coming here? And their parents are wearing beads. Everybody started wearing crystals, including the police. The police used to come see me and be scared, and all of a sudden they're wearing crystals, and I almost wanted to be like, it's on the wrong hand. You're protecting the wrong hand. So they kind of screwed themselves over on that. But it's when people were saying to me, oh my God, I love you. You taught me so much. And me not knowing that I was teaching people by surviving, that I was teaching people by holding on, that I was teaching people by coming on live on my Instagram, on my business page, and being happy, which was what I really was, by showing people that there's a way out, that there's a possibility. So what they started doing was like making it illegal to watch me on live. It was like no one could watch me on live because they didn't want people to, it was an embarrassment. I proved that they failed. I was a failed attempt, and nobody wanted people to know that they were failing, that they weren't intimidating me, that I didn't care. And, you know, throughout the process, me not even knowing, it's like that's where it was like I was infamous. I know I'm infamous in that city. Even though I keep to myself, people know me, they know who I am, they know my face, they know my story. It was like I was infamous in that it's like, oh, that's the girl that they can't take down. So people would come to my store and just kind of like ask me questions in a coded way, like, oh, you know, I keep having this ache in my back, eh? I don't know what it's about. But nothing happened. I just have an ache. And you're like, oh, okay. Do you know why? No, I don't. It's like this ache. Sometimes it just comes. Like, I don't know. It's like they're looking for advice. Like they need help. And I started realizing, like, just by me staying on my feet and surviving, that people they're standing up for themselves. People are getting the encouragement to not let people push them around as much, and knowing what to do about people pushing them around. It wasn't so much about reputation, my reputation personally, because I know God is going to resolve that. It was about getting a full understanding of exactly what is going on here. There's gang stalking as a whole, and then gang stalking people to be drug mules. I feel like it has a different flavor to it because it has a different objective, and the objective is to enslave you. And it's like all of a sudden people can now get information on, well, how do I stay on my feet? Not that attacks are not going to come towards me, not that I'm going to be not going to be panicked, not that I'm not going to be scared, but how do I at least ease the pain until I can figure it out? So had all of those things not happened, I definitely would be like going back and forth with God about like, what do you mean I'm coming on live to help people? Help who? Those people who gang stalked me? Like, I don't think so. But to be honest, when you see it from a broader perspective, yeah, you still get irritated. Of course I'm going to get irritated. I'm irritated at them and I feel bad for them at the same time, because it's like, but I also understand their predicament. I understand the situations. I understand the things that they've gone through. I understand the battles that they're facing. I understand like the kind of persecution that they're under. I understand it. I understand it. So when I come here and I say things like, even in my anger, My anger as a response to harassment, to bullying. Even in my anger, I think it still shows people that that is the appropriate response. The appropriate response is not fear. The appropriate response to people bullying you, especially energetically in any way, is anger. And retaliation is okay. And not just okay, but necessary to stand up for yourself. And I'm not talking about retaliation as far as like fighting people on the streets and like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about spiritual retaliation. There is this sort of idea that came with the Jesus story of turning the other cheek when someone slaps you. There are some situations where you do leave it to God, honestly. You don't need to tit for tat with everybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you're in a situation of abuse, I'm saying a situation that a chapter that somebody will not close. This is when you become a spiritual warrior. This is when you start praying. This is when you do not just pray to lovingly send things back to people. You're praying for the destruction of your enemy. Because think of it this way, by somebody stopping what is meant for you, what God gave you, by somebody stopping that, they're in opposition to God already. Because who are they? You are supposed to have a life ahead of you and things ahead of you that you're supposed to be doing. And instead of being able to focus on that, people are overwhelming you with nonsense. People are trying to destroy your reputation, making it hard for you to go out there and make a living. You have to pray for their downfall. That is what you're there for. And for people that are put in that position, that are asking God to destroy these types of people, you're not just saving yourself, you're saving everybody behind you. So here's what I'm going to say. Your true enemy in this situation, in gang stalking, is not the gang stalking, it's the energy work. That's your true enemy, the energy work. A lot of what they're doing, if not all of what they're doing, is supported by spell work. You could talk about military weapons and whatever, but military weapons are not the ones that are making you lose court cases. Military weapons are not the ones that are making you start losing money, having fires blow up in your house, whatever. And I'm not saying that there definitely is an element of that, and I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm not going to say no. But I'm also going to say the bulk of it is spell work, and it is with the spell work that they're doing the bulk of what they're doing to you. Once you can protect yourself energetically, once you tap into God and the correct frequencies, once you are building a relationship with God and God is showing you incrementally that things are coming together, let me tell you, hope takes a while to come. Feeling positive about what's going to happen takes a while to come. Feeling fearless, it takes a while to come. It takes some time to come. All you got to do in the beginning is putting one foot in front of the other and just following what you're supposed to follow. When God says do not be afraid, you got to trust that relationship and not be afraid and do what you're told. When God says don't fear them, God was telling me this from the very beginning. They were giving me details. They were like, listen, these are people will do this and that, but if you're in their face, they would never do that. They would never even, in fact, if you got aggressive, they would run away. They'll never touch you. And then I started testing it out, and I'm like, one of the first times I followed somebody else back around the store. They were following me being weird, and I started following them back around the store doing the same thing. And they got frightened and they ran out. And I'm just like, this is just scare tactics. So for me, if I go somewhere and someone's sitting in a vehicle in like a place that's obvious with the headlights on and they're looking at, listen, I'm at the point with it that even if you waved a weapon in the window, I don't care. Why don't I care? Because people who want to use a weapon don't give you time to see them waving it in the window. It's like, listen, and this is an awful story to share, but I'm from the West Indies, and if you're an immigrant of any kind, you know that if you have immigrant family, they just say anything. Like, you can't give them a podium because they're going to say something that's going to like embarrass you, because their opinions are very, different. And I remember one time we were watching something and I was talking to somebody back home and I was saying like, oh, this person, they should show more attention because this person is like suicidal. And this person back home goes, and I never thought of it this way. They go, no, they're just bluffing. They want attention. If they were going to do it, they would have done it already. And I never thought of it that way. And that's changed my mentality with everything that I deal with. Everything in my life, I look at it and I always think if somebody was going to do it, they would have done it already. When I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I do not threaten people. I do not wait for things. If I tell you I'm going to do it, it's going to be done. I don't go back and forth with people on nonsense. Like, I really do it. I really pull the trigger. So it's like, what are they following you for? What are they gaining? We already know that this is just an intimidation tactic. So we got to align what you're thinking with how you're moving around in the world. I swear to you, I stop and like pet their dogs and like, it's like, what are we doing here? All of us. What are we all doing here collectively? Be real with yourself. You're sitting here to watch me, to let me know that you're watching me, and I get it. Maybe someone made you do it. Maybe they made you think it was fun. Maybe whatever. But I'm a human being as well. And it's like you're forgetting that in this bullshit that you're doing. And you have to walk her. It's like in this whole thing, everybody's forgotten that everybody's human. Everybody is not everybody. So you see the ones orchestrating this, they're demons already. I don't care what anybody says. Those ones need to be eliminated. No forgiveness, no compassion, no nothing. But you're walking around, in my case, I'm talking about people who are being recruited to be drug mules. You're walking around and they coach these people on what type of body language to use, how to look at you, how to laugh at you, what to do. And at first they come and they look menacing and they look scary. Let you start following them around. Let you start coming up to them. And you'll see that they're scared. Even like some of the guys that were following me, it's like, I don't know. It's like they look like they want to be flirtatious instead of like actually gang stalk. It's like they're not even focusing. This is not, I'm saying all of this to say, as far as the gang stalking comes and the fear is coming in, this is pointless. This is what people want, is they want you to be scared of them. These are regular people they found off of the street. There are certain cultures of people, they gang stalk in a very detached way, that they're telling you energetically they don't even want to be there. They don't care about this. This is not a personal agenda for them, and so it doesn't even work. It just looks like weird, and it's like they don't care. You have to look beyond the actual gang stalking to see beyond it. Otherwise, if you look at it for face value, and I've learned if you look at things sort of eye level, you're just going to see what's in front of you. You really have to look at things from a higher perspective and look at it and say, like, what would have been the point of this? They gang stalk you to make you feel watched. They hack you to make you feel monitored. The information that they're gleaning, what can they do with it? I'm at the point they can keep me hacked forever. What can they do? Oh, we know that you're going to be applying to buy a new car. What are you going to do? I'm going to buy the car in your face. The most they can do is make the people give me a horrible price or be nasty to me during the process. And then I'm going to deal with that issue as it comes. It doesn't matter if I'm watched. As a matter of fact, you're being watched anyway. If it was so easy for them to tap in your phone, imagine how many people have been tapped in and out of your phone without your knowledge anyway. And imagine how easy it is for other people to do that. Be for real. Doesn't matter. People following you, I've talked about this. You don't even have to look them in the face. Who cares? Like, what are people gonna do by following you? Yeah, they're weird. Yeah, they try to stick cameras in your face and take pictures of you. This is what these ones do anyway. I imagine this is what they do in Brazil. Latin countries, I feel like they do stuff like that. But what are you gonna do? I used to just pose for the pictures after a while. What are they gonna do with the picture? Put it in a group chat? And then what? Who cares? Everybody that's in the group chat, not everybody, most people, a lot of people in the group chat who know that they have to be in the group chat don't want to be in the group chat. They just have to be there. At some point, people have to get up and leave. And I kept saying it, a dead drug mule doesn't make anybody money. A scared drug mule makes people money. And somebody like me who's neither dead nor scared loses people money. And if I'm losing people money and I'm still here, then that means anybody could do whatever they want. God. God is what separates me from everybody else. A spiritual connection with God. That's it. That is what separates the two of us. And a loyalty and a commitment to my freedom and getting out. It doesn't matter how long it takes. At some point, you got to get ready. And you got to sometimes in some ways think about it like being in a zombie apocalypse and getting out. If you're in a zombie apocalypse and you've been, let's say, in an apartment building for 6 months and you know the problem out there is really bad because you got on the balcony and you see it. When you understand that if you don't get out of here, you're going to die in here, because even leaving here all the time to go get groceries is going to be difficult. What do? You mentally prepare for it. You make sure you get some running shoes on, lace them up really tight. You pack some stuff in a backpack and you hit the trail knowing that you're going to face opposition. You're going to face opposition. You're going to have to fight. And if you stay committed and you travel light, you can get there. And I mean travel light. What do I mean by traveling light? People. You're not going to have a lot of people. It's a solo mission. If you're coming out, it's either you and everybody in your household, or it's going to be you and your kids, or it's going to be you alone. No friends, no family, none of that. Those are liabilities. And if it's going to be you and a spouse, you guys got to be on the same page. You have to be on the same page. Nothing can divide us. I don't care what anybody says, true or not. People come to you and they're like, oh, your spouse said this, your spouse does this. Yeah, okay, thank you. You take up internal issues internally. These are internal issues. These are not issues to be decided upon because somebody triggers an emotion in you, because they're going to try to divide you. They're going to separately attack you, send people to sleep with each other, etc., etc. So they're going to send arguments in the relationship. They're going to send a disinterest in being intimate. They're going to send all kinds of things are going to happen to take away peace from the household. You guys got to be ready to contend these problems because all of these things are coming towards you and it's energetic. Let me give you an example what I mean by energetic. People know that it's very hard to be in my energy, so the most they can do is pop in really quickly and pop out. So one time, this guy pops in my energy and a song pops into my head that is the lyrics are supposed to make me want to give up on something. Now, because I can differentiate with how energy comes in and out, I can see it. But for you who doesn't know too much about energy, maybe you don't feel it, maybe you're not tapped in just yet, and you will. As soon as you tap into God, these things are gonna be made clear to you. Communication is going to be consistent and very strong. But for somebody to have done that, it means that, first of all, they're spying on my devices and they feel me getting some encouragement towards a particular situation. and they panic and they want to come in and provide some discouragement to the situation, you got to be aware of thoughts that come to you that are not yours. Why in the middle of encouragement are you feeling discouragement? Why in the middle of a happy situation are you feeling anxious? Why in the middle of connecting with someone are you feeling skepticism or skeptical of them? All of these things, this is energy that is being projected. So now you got to be vigilant of your energy. You got to be vigilant of what is yours and what is not yours. So you're getting ready to go out there. You cannot live in this apartment anymore. It is an apocalypse. You travel light. You take only what you need. You keep weapons with you and on you, and you are vigilant at all times. And you will know when it's safe. It's safe when it's safe. And things will make sense and some things will not make sense, and you will learn as you go. Well, I can't do that again. Oh, well, the zombies are fast. Oh, well, they, if you take their head off, they stop. But if you do anything else, they don't. And you just learn and you go. And it is a journey and it is a process, and it looks different for different people. But staying here is for sure not the answer. Staying here, the longer you stay here, none of these relationships that you're having ever work. You're by yourself. You're gonna die by yourself. The money that you're making, is it even worth it? It's like you're in a cage that has invisible walls, and you know your parameters. You can't be friends with these people, and they're always using you to recruit other people, and on and on and on and on, and it's like always some nonsense. You gotta get up and leave. And even if you're not being gang stalked to be a drug mule, you still have to get up and leave. When the situation is not changing, you gotta change. And I talk about the story of Jesus Christ as a metaphor for what you should be doing. It's like this. It's like people saying that they admire what I've done in my strength, and that's amazing. And I've gone forth and I've showed people that it's possible. And I'm honest about it, that it's tough, but it's possible, and that it incrementally gets better. Don't think that you're going to snap your fingers and everything's going to be perfect. But it's like saying that people are going to pray to me when I'm telling people about God. It's like that. It's a metaphor. And when you get on that cross and you do your Christ walk's difficult, and you're walking yourself to a death you know is coming. It's a spiritual death. And when you get on that cross, who or what is dying? You being a people pleaser, gotta go. Dying, as in you will never do it again. It's not a version of yourself you tuck away for the time being to go on this journey. It's, we're done with it. You don't need it anymore. You having very weak boundaries and not being able to tell people no. Let me tell you, I was like everybody else. I had difficulty with no because I didn't want anyone to be mad at me. I learned how to say no. I used to say no. I was like a kid. You know, when you meet a toddler who's just learned the word no, they exercise the crap out of it. Everything is no. Even if they want it, they'll say no. Because they're practicing having autonomy, authority over themselves. They are not thinking about your feelings when they say no. You got to be like a toddler. Just say no. Firmly, harshly, mean if you have to. Who cares? This whole thing with the people pleasing and the boundaries, when those two things come together, you stop caring about people's feelings. I embarrass people in public. I don't care. People don't want to be embarrassed by me, so they stay away from me. I'll tell you you're a cartel really loud in public. I'll call you a gang stalker. I don't care where we are. Are you following me? You're making me uncomfortable. Shouldn't be doing this stupid shit to people in public. I'm gonna embarrass people. It is what it is. You have to get the boundaries in place for everybody, for everyone. And it's a journey. It's your journey. I say don't engage with them, but you might have your period where you gain your empowerment by engaging them. by going up to the car and be like, what are you doing here? Why are you always here? Maybe you might want to do that. So use your discernment and go on your personal journey. The journey is to empowerment. This journey really is about changing you, because the situation is not going to change. I want it to stop. I want the police. You got to change. You got to change. Nothing is by accident. You are here for a reason, and you will be rewarded for being on this journey. God always rewards you every time you get out of tough situations. You are encouraged. That's why people like myself, and there's way more people than me, come on here and they talk about it. When I walk around and I say that I'm not being gang stalked anymore, I mean it. I don't care if they're gang stalkers on the street or not. I don't care if there are actually people. I know some of them, because they have to use the same people over and over now. There's no more resources. They have to use the same people. So I know when they're gang stalkers on the street, but you're not going to crowd me out on the street. You're not. You can do that to somebody else, not me. And you know, the thing is, when you set an example of people, a couple people got to be set examples. Like, a couple people have to be an example. There have to be a couple people that other people say, I don't want to be that person. Man, woman, or child. It is what it is. Don't do it. So, if they want to sit around the park and walk their dogs and go for fake walks and do whatever they want to do, be respectful of me, because I can't tell people not to go walk in the park. Oh, you're a gang stalker who's watching me, you shouldn't be in the park. Do what you're gonna do. Be respectful. Do what you're going to do, but be respectful. Do not crowd me. Don't make faces at me. Don't do none of the above. And you have to get to a point with your spirituality where you're having very frank conversations with spirit, like, hey, this is abusive to me. Is this okay? No, I don't like it. This is what I want. A couple people should be set an example, and listen. If none of them listen, then set an example of all of them to the very last one. Till the eggs in the ovaries, to the sperm in the testicles. That too. I don't care. Everything. This is what it takes for these kinds of people to understand, to leave you alone. That is the truth. I am not love and light. I am also shadows. I'm also darkness. So we are all spirits, energies. We are all. Read the Bible. The same God that loves the Israelites is the same God that destroyed Egypt. So what is God for one is an enemy for another. What side do they want to be on? They get to choose. God is for you. God is here for you. The universe is here for you. And as much as this is working in your favor, and as much as this is teaching you and evolving you and growing you, the discomfort is unwelcome. So when I say that I'm not being gang stalked anymore, perhaps I'm being gang watched. Perhaps they are gang wondering. They're gang wondering where I am. They got to log into my bank account. Oh, she spent money there. Oh, now she's over here. Oh, yeah. So if you could get there quick enough, then maybe we could do something about that. But as far as me gallivanting all over the place, I will do what I want to do. I will go where I want to go. And anybody who supports these people in this shit is an enemy of mine. And that's how it goes. I'm not nice about it. I don't pretend about it. I am myself. If I don't do something, I say it. I don't do spell work because I don't know how to do it. I think it's manipulative and blah, blah, blah. But for me to not go in the spirit and pray down on you as you try to destroy me, no. And I empower everybody going through this situation to do the same. When you forge your spiritual relationship, be very clear. If God doesn't want you to do something, God will tell you no, and don't do that again. Don't ask for it again. These relationships are meant to be cultivated on love. They're meant to be cultivated as Listen, I come to you humbly. I'm in a predicament. Just like that. People think prayer is supposed to be so formal and fancy. I think the most effective prayers are just like this because they're honest and they're authentic. This is my predicament. I'm stuck. I need help badly. These people are abusing me. God knows all of that. But by you praying, you're opening the veil. You're opening a window. You're making an invitation. You're making contact. And you stick with that relationship like you would with any other relationship. You stick with it. Days you feel like praying, days you don't feel like praying, whatever it is, you stick with it and you keep going. And how does this relationship work? Incrementally, you see results. You start seeing less and less people following you. God shows you things. It's so crazy. God gives me advice on technology. And I was talking about this in my community center one time, where it's like it just comes to you like, oh, that's how they know that. Oh, that's how they do that. Okay, well, let me try this and let me try that. And all of a sudden you get them off the devices and you get them off of this and you're like, oh shit, wow. And then they got to go to an extra mile to do something else. And one thing about being gang stalked, you got to make people go the extra mile every day. It doesn't matter if they eventually do it, they got to go the extra mile. That's how you exhaust people. The Art of War. I talk about it all the time. I've never even read the book. You got to use other people's energy and not your own. When you're in long fights, war, not battle. Battle, you might want to go all out if it's one battle, but it's war is many battles, many years. You got a long haul in front of you. You just got to exhaust people. I don't care if you, it's like saying, well, they can take the elevator or they can take the stairs and I'm in the penthouse. I'm going to make you take the stairs every time. I'm going to keep breaking the elevator. If nothing else, it buys me time. Simple. It buys me time. Why would I make it easy for you to do anything so I don't walk around with phones? Let them have to, all they can do is wait for me to come home. They have people sitting in the snow. They have people sitting in the rain, waiting for me to come by. These people are mumbling, sitting in the rain, waiting just to see someone come by so they can make a face and they could get back in their car and go. Come on now. Make it hard. Some days I don't show up. Some days they're waiting outside and they could have sworn I'm coming and I'm not coming. So now some random is calling me like, hey, are you going to come to the mall today? Hey, are you going to come? What time are you going to come? Why? You think I'm going to schedule my gang stalking with you? I'll tell them, yeah, I'm coming at 2. Don't worry, I'm coming today at 2. At 2, I'm snoring away in my bed in pajamas, meaning that I definitely was never coming. You gotta make their life difficult in every way. Make them jump over more and more hurdles to get to you. So every morning they wake up, they hate their job. Nothing is easy for you. Nothing is easy with you at all. Everything that I do, I have to make sure that I add some complexity, some humiliation. I gotta add something to it for them to just make them feel like they can't stand my guts. And that's that on that. And people can do, listen, you wanna come in on my devices? You wanna hack my devices? And your phone is listening, you're on my social media more than me, and now the phone is listening to you, the AI is bringing up ads for HIV and cancer and whatever. I'm going to screenshot it and I'm going to embarrass you on the platforms that I know people are looking at me on, so they know your personal business. So now the trade-off is, if you want to be on my device, I get to know that you're looking for a new car and you can't afford it, so you're looking for repossessed cars. I get to know that. You don't have a car, you bum. You're gang stalking and you're gang broke. How the chief gang stalker doesn't have a car. You're making other people with cars follow somebody and you don't have a car. So why do I mind them being on my device? I like knowing their business so I could come on here and talk about it. You have to just look at things differently. everything that I learned through being gang stalked, it's like things that are gonna make me invincible for the rest of my life. Looking at things from a higher perspective. At eye level, something looks horrible. From a higher perspective, you gain, if nothing else, clarity. And from the clarity, you can move forward. And you can make decisions that are more aligned to the reality of what's going on. I have saved myself so much heartache and so much pain and so much, oh my God, I hate humanity, by just knowing that people who are doing this are stuck. Even the ones who do it online, even the online trolls, they have to do this. It's like you get sucked into it, and then before you know it, it's like you're stuck in this process, and you have to be a gang stalker, and you have to you have to do all of this stuff. And I'm not coming on here defending gang stalkers at all. It's not right. They know it's not right. They know it's not right. But at the same time, it's like, if you hate everybody, then you're the one that suffers because you walk away from this and you hate humanity, and it's not true. The first time you get to enjoy once more, and I know this is going to happen for anybody who takes my advice. The first time you do not get crowded out on the street. You go to a coffee shop or somewhere and you have a conversation with someone and people are normal again. The first time it happens, you realize that, well, so many things happen, but you realize that like not everybody's a gang stalker. You're not being gang stalked everywhere. That people are normal, like this is what life is like again. And it will happen. It will happen. But it's not going to happen with you remaining the person that you are now. The person who got themselves in the problem is not the person who's going to get themselves out. It's, what is the quote? The quote is something, there's a quote that basically says something like, you got to be, you can't get out of a problem in the same way that you got in, or whatever the case is. And it's true. I am a totally different person today. And for people watching me on YouTube, you just don't know who I was before. People in my city can see, like, they probably don't recognize me at all. And I say this like all the time. It's true. I was the most, I describe myself as like a Disney princess, happy all the time, so sweet, so nice to everybody, but letting people get away with murder all the time just because I was committed to just not being upset. Just because I was committed to always having like a very high vibration. Just because it's like I would feel bad, like I'm a bad person if it's like, oh my God, I'm a bad person if I ask for something bad to happen to someone. Or like, she had to go, and she was so lovely, and it was such a great time, whatever. And you know what, I think a part of me is always going to be that person, but I think it's reserved for family or maybe people in my household. It's not for the general public. It's not safe for me to walk outside as this person. And maybe that might just be what happens with you, is that you start realizing, like, this kind, tender, loving person I am, I need to be selective about who gets that side of me. I can't just be opening up and being that person to everybody. You have to be a different person out there, and you have to defend yourself. And nobody, I feel like right now, is really talking about the fact that you have to pray down on these people. You have to pray very strategically about getting out of this situation. You have to help God help you. You have to help this energy help you. Your prayers are private, they're sacred, they're between you and God. So I'm not going to tell you. I've given suggestions in my last video. It's called something strategic prayer, the art of strategic prayer, where I break down the things that I recommend people pray for. My prayer, I utilize my prayer in the same way that I talk about the art of war, like that. I utilize my prayer in such a way where I'm asking for very specific things based on very specific things that are happening to me. I start by, what is my issue and what is the outcome that I want? I'm very specific about the outcome, and everything that I pray for is in regards to the outcome. It's not just praying to pray. Oh, they did something and my cat died today and I want their dog to die. That's not specific to the outcome. You are not just being reactive, you're being proactive. You're looking ahead. You're counting multiple steps forward and you're working it backwards and being very specific about the things that you're praying for. And yes, part of that is for people to experience themselves. I don't have to say for people to suffer. Them experiencing themselves is suffering. I'm experiencing them and I'm not having a great time. They need to experience what that feels like. And they're not having a great time. And anybody watching, I could tell you right now that they know that the police are watching them. They don't like being around my residents anymore. They're in the park now and they're at certain places that I know that they know that I'm going to be around, because they got to be careful with the shit that they do, but they're using the same people over and over, so it's pretty damn obvious. They're out of funds, they're out of money, they're on the run because they were gang stalking me for the cartel and they can't get it done. And we know what kind of organization that is and we know how those people behave. So it's a shit show. Whether that's happened just because of my endurance, because I've held on, or because of prayers, we can't prove either way, but I've done both. And I don't really care which one it is. I'm just happy that it's happening. Do I have mercy on people? There are some things that I've heard around the city that I think is retribution for what they've done. You know, they're finding bodies and stuff around my city. They owe people. They can't pay and they can't bring me in. I don't know. Maybe that's a backfired death spell. I don't know. Do I care? I care that it's happening. Yes. I'm happy that it's happening. End of story. I don't care. This is not my job. This wasn't my circus. I didn't start it. This is how you got to look at your life. This is your life. They're destroying it. They're destroying everything about your life. They're attacking everything. I'm not here advocating for you to be an evil person. I'm advocating for you to defend yourself. And you got to look at it like this. If you live in a country, has your country been to war before? Yes. And what did they tell you they went to war for? For freedom. And what happens at war? The part they don't tell you, they're bombing schools, they're bombing hospitals, they're bombing churches. When they say, we know this, we watch movies, right? They say, do you have the target? Yes, we have the target. It's locked in? Yes. Fire. Oh, that was a preschool. That was a daycare. They don't care. The target ran into a daycare. They don't care. They dropped the missile, didn't they? If you can justify your country being at war, if you can collect poppies on Remembrance Day for the soldiers, then how is this different when you are actually the casualty in this war? You got to look at it like that. You support soldiers, you support war, you support your country doing what it's supposed to do, but you don't support defending yourself at war from people who are destroying you, dropping missiles all over your life. Be for real. So, this is what you're here for. And by you doing that, you're helping other people. By you doing that, you're helping other people. More and more people need to pray on the downfall of gang stalkers. So it is communal prayer going up. And more people need to get together and maybe not get together, because once you get together, they come in and they like to break things apart. But more and more people need to stand up to it. Because by one person standing up to it, just by myself, if I've inspired 3 people, and then those 3 people inspire 1 person each, and then those other people inspire 1 person each, and 1 person each, and it balloons. Now people are maybe not even agreeing to gang stalk anymore because more people are finding out about it. That is the point of 1 person standing up. As far as fear goes, you don't need it. I always say the danger is real, the fear is optional. And when the fear is in the way, it impedes your judgment. It stops you from being rational. Everything is like you're always jumpy, you're always nervous. You have to be able to say, is this old lady who's gang stalking me here a real threat? And why would an old lady leave her house to do this in the first place? A normal old lady is probably not money. You know, you get to a certain age, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna go buy hair and makeup? Like, what is she gonna do? I'm not saying She doesn't want money, but I'm saying probably it's something else. Now you start thinking, now you start being logical, now you start breaking things down and making sense of things, trusting on your own judgment. Not even if it's not your own judgment and maybe God brings in ideas and whatever, but not looking just at what you see as face value. When you're fearful of everything, it takes away your judgment. When you're not fearful and you're sitting in a car, and I'm talking about drug mules because it's a gang, it's a violent gang. So I'm assuming maybe they're waving guns at people, maybe they're doing things to show people, maybe they're driving aggressively and like pulling their car in front of people, or maybe they're doing all of this shit. I'm not saying that they're not. However, when all of this stuff is happening, you got to ask yourself, if this person was serious about killing me, they definitely wouldn't do it. This is not how you kill people. This is not how you do it. They probably fantasize about like kidnapping me and doing all that stuff. That's one of the things. Like today I got a comment on my page and it was like, oh, what relaxes me is like walking in the woods by myself with my dog. It's like, come on now. If I get kidnapped now, the first person that they're going for is John Ferreira. That's the first person, guaranteed. There would be a manhunt. This is a person who's in fear and who's not thinking straight. You being in fear is you not thinking straight. You being in fear is giving away your power. Respect yourself and walk with your head held high everywhere you go. If in the beginning the fear is still there, but you're being brave, eventually the fear will leave. It will leave. Because there are so many times I push these people's buttons and I really pushed it. And I was like, man, if they break into my house tonight, I could understand why. They didn't do anything. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? They're just intimidators. They're just harassers. And they can get pretty aggressive, but what are they going to do? By the way, if you haven't made a police report, make one. Make one every 3 to 6 months. Keep making them. Hold these lazy assholes, I'm sorry to swear, but hold these people to task. They know what's going on. They will gaslight and they'll be like, oh, I don't believe. Every major city knows what gang stalking is. They probably get 100 gang stalking reports per month. You're not the only one. They know what it is. Keep making reports, keep the report numbers, keep the names of the officers that you speak to, keep their business cards, keep this non-digitally, file it, keep everything, and make reports. It'll make you sleep better at night, knowing that if something happens to you, they know where to start. Try to get names of people, try to get as much identifying information as possible. Think of it as if you were a detective and you needed to solve a case and you were being given information. You would need a certain amount of information to at least start. So you say that your phones and your devices are hacked. Include the companies that you deal with, the companies that you utilize for service. Include everything. A report, don't just go in with your words, because they're not going to grasp this story. You've lived this story, but they're not going to grasp it. Write it out. Chronological order, simple. Eliminate nonsense that doesn't need to be in there. Fact-based. If you got to put it one point at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4, number it, it is better so that you don't run on with nonsense that doesn't matter. I don't want to say nonsense, but things that are not actionable. You're looking at crimes that are happening, laws being broken. So if you go in there and you talk about spell work, no one can do anything for you. And it might hurt your case. Don't talk about anything spiritual. It doesn't matter. Now, do they know that there's a... Yes, they do. I know from my city, they definitely do. They know something spiritual is going on. They're wearing the beads. They're watching my videos too. They know something's going on. So, but you don't need to add that to the report, okay? Make it very simple. On this day, this happened at this time. This person wearing this, who looks like this, blah, blah, blah. Like, keep it very straightforward, but Make your reports, update your reports regularly. Um, as far as witnesses go, in my case, like, I don't really report all the people that I know, because unless I see movement, unless we're in the court and I see movement that way, then I don't see the reason to bring that up, because I don't trust them to do anything but try to clean it up. They're just gonna try to go and suck these people into whatever they're doing, and it's gonna bring chaos to these people's lives as well, because the police are in pocket. And the police that are not in pocket, they're gonna try to get them in pocket. I just don't trust any of them. So it's not to say that there are no good police out there. There definitely are. But, you know, people need to show and prove. Like, you need to see results before you just go ahead and just trust everything and trust everyone, right? Like, this is not, we know now this is not the world that we live in. My main thing is just about fear. You gotta get rid of it. It's like, you don't need it. And you gotta get to the point where you're like, listen, I would prefer not to live in a world where this can happen to me, rather than living in a place where people keep like passing their place and abusing their power and nobody's stepping in to help. It just has to boil down to that. I don't want to be here if this is what it's going to be about. End of story. And once you get to that point where you're okay with not being here, you're just okay with, you're tired of it. You're tired of it. You don't have time for this crap. You gotta go. I don't know what you're doing outside. Whatever you're doing, you gotta go to work. You just gotta get to work today. You don't have time for this crap today. That's it. Gang stalkers are gonna be like, you're like, yeah, whatever. And you're gonna go. That's it. That's how it starts. You stop caring. You just stop caring, and it's annoying. And you just move forward with your day. And it doesn't matter, and they're not gonna kill you. Listen, I'm just gonna say, I have yet to see them kill. That's not their, even in Hollywood, that's not the way that they do it. They drive you crazy. They use spell work. They do things like that. They don't do stuff like that. Maybe if it's getting to the point you're speaking out or whatever, now they're going to try to see, like, could we get a doctor to do this? Like, you know, they've done to some celebrities. Let's get them in an overdose situation, but it has to be accidental. Nobody's going to just come into your house and, like, do you know how many red flags that would, that would make it stop? They're very careful about being underhanded, about hiding their hands. So I wouldn't worry about that. But, you know, I know people are still going to be fearful. I talk about this a lot. Eliminate the fear. You don't need it. That was one of the first things I needed to do to stick with the situation, because fear can be paralyzing. Then you got to deal with the anxiety. You got to get your breath together. You got to deal with the depression you might feel. Oh, my life fell apart. Who cares? Who cares? Lives fall apart and are rebuilt all the time. Build a new one when this is done. Build better. Build a better one. You had these sort of friends, now you can get these sort of friends. You used to go to this place, now you go to these kind of places. You had this house, now you could get this kind of house. You could live here. Now that you got rid of everybody, did you fantasize about living in Thailand? Go live there now. You don't even have to be in this place anymore. Whatever it is that you wanted to do, now you are empowered and free to do it. That's how I see it. So you don't need to worry about everything you lost. If I sat here crying about material things that I lost, I would literally be like, my hands would be in my face every day. I don't care. I can build it again, and I'm going to build it faster because I did it once before. That's all. They want you to cry about these material things. They come and go. They come and go. You could have lost it due to illness, natural causes, or due to a downturn of the economy or whatever. What difference is it? It's a life cycle. But you got to go through a cycle and not find yourself in a place of rot where things are not growing because things are not changing and they're not moving forward. So that is what you want to do. I read these cards. They're called Spirit Messages cards, which I love. So I got two. The first one says, take some time to rest and rejuvenate. You need to pace yourself with the changes that are coming your way. They are all positive. Bigger and better things are coming for you. Just relax and trust. See, this is why I like Spirit Oracle cards. If you've watched more than one video, I swear to God, everything that I talk about in the video, the cards somehow like respond to whatever the message was or correlate in some way. But don't rush. I've always said don't rush. I think I posted about it this morning. They want you to rush things, rush your progress, rush your growth. Building anything takes time. It takes awareness, and it takes like really mapping things out. It takes trial and error. It takes failing at things. It takes doing things better and better every time. So bigger and better is coming your way. And I said that. I literally just said that. You can rebuild a life. You got to learn these lessons. You got to get through this. The second one says self-awareness is key. Take time today to go within and spend time with your soul. Go for a walk in nature and ground yourself. Meditate. Listen to your favorite music. Whatever you enjoy most, do that today. I enjoy baking. I finally have the chance, the time to bake again. I used to have stores and malls, and I used to work 12 hours a day, and it was exhausting. And I used to wonder how I would ever break myself out of that, how I would find staff that I could trust enough, how I would be like the other owners who are never in their stores. And look at me now. I don't have the stores, but I have time to bake. I love something about touching dough. It just relaxes me. I love it, so I do that. I like challenging myself with recipes and like really mastering things and whatever. I learn a lot of new things now that I'm here. And I talk about that. Not every day is a gang stalking awareness day. You're gonna like inundate yourself. Some days, just watch videos that have nothing to do with gang stalking, that have to do with your passions. Get into your imagination. Just watch memes, laugh, have a good time, think about something else. Pull yourself energetically away from this and be a normal person again. Live a normal life again. Slowly putting one foot in front of the other at all times. When I used to like laugh at things and just have a relaxing moment, they used to come on my phone and like do this so that the screen would flicker to remind me, oh, you're being gang stalked. You just enjoy your life. Watch Netflix, watch a movie, do things for yourself. Have moments for yourself, have little rituals for yourself, little times for yourself. Pull away from this, find your passions again. It's not just all beating yourself up and beating yourself down. Take your time. God is with you. You'll be fine. And please do pray, develop a spiritual relationship, because you're not getting out of this without one. I'm just being honest. I used to like make it conditional in the beginning of my videos, like maybe if, no. I could tell you right now, I had God with me and it's difficult enough. You're not getting out of this alone, because they are not energetically alone. They are doing things. They are manipulating energy. So you need energy on your side to combat and to like barricade you from the nonsense that's happening. Thank you to anybody that hung in there for my video. Have a good night. And please like the video, share, subscribe the video. If you have an audience, share the video as well. And it just helps my algorithm and it helps the channel grow. Have a good night.